What's up? It's Marco back on This Week in Soccer, the weekly show where we cover the U.S. men's national team players and everything going on in soccer in America. Man, we got a lot to talk about this week. A good amount of transfers, some completed, some with just news. A lot of things going on in preseason over in Europe. So, starting things off with completed transfers, biggest thing of this week is Gianluca Busio. He looks to be going to Venezia, the club in Venice in Syria. He'll be joining up with Tanner Tessman. This is being reported by Fabrizio Romano. Man, this seems like a very good move for Busio. I mean, Syria, that's great for developing defensive midfielders. I've talked about this before, but guys like Marchisio come out there. Obviously, guys like Pirlo. That defensive mid position that's developed great there. Lacchetti, Barella on this current Italy team. And man, if he can start to develop a bit like that, that'll be great for him. I think adjusting will be easy, considering his Italian heritage. Man, I'm really looking forward to Busio there. Really excited about that move. And it's going to be great. Another good MLS player going abroad. Love to see it, and hopefully he stays in the national team. Man, really excited for that. And other completed transfer, I missed this by about a couple hours last week, so a bit old news now, but Ethan Horvath signed with Nottingham Forest. He'll compete for a starting job there, and I really like seeing him take the initiative, leaving Club Brugge where he wasn't playing. Hopefully I'll be able to push Samba, I believe is their goalkeeper. And if he's able to win that starting job there, if he's able to do well in the championship, he might be able to push Zack, Steffen, push Matt Turner. And, man, we know how talented he is. We've seen that Nations League game. He's played well in the Champions League. But, yeah, he just has to get playing time. And if he can continue to develop, continue to play well, I'm really looking forward to seeing Ethan Horvath this year. Now, I've got a couple of pieces of news. First, Matthew Hoppe, and the links to the Premier League continue, and they're actually getting stronger. Sky Sports actually put out something linking to Tottenham. And again, while I'm not too sure if this is going to happen, the news is continuing to come out. There's more than just rumors at this point. I mean, we know that Schalke do want to sell him. Probably not. Well, they might not want to sell him this year, but I think a loan going into a buy seems pretty likely. But yeah, Schalke, their finances aren't in a great situation, so a big move could be good. Matthew Hoppe, you really don't want him playing in Bundesliga 2, but if he does and that gets some playing time, that's not a bad thing per se, but if he can play at a higher level, you definitely want that. So these links are definitely good. I struggle to see him playing a lot at Tottenham, but he is still a young player, and they are in the Europa Conference League, and if he's able to get some playing time in that could be huge. So yeah, I'm talking myself into this as we're going. Next, we got Josh Sargent. News for that is Werder Bremen have been turning down offers for Sargent. They're holding out for a higher price. The interest is there, which is good to see. I mean, I think we're all kind of waiting on a move to happen, but it hasn't yet. It honestly might not, because Bremen do seem to want to hold on to Sargent. You can understand that. They do want to get re-promoted, and I feel like that's definitely possible. Bremen's a pretty solid team, especially by Bundesliga 2 standards, so you can understand them wanting to hold on to Josh Sargent, but man, it's not too great for him, and you really have to hope that he wants to move on. This by CBS Sports, who reported this. Next, Tyler Boyd. He's looking likely to move on from Besiktas. I can only find this in a Turkish site, Fotomak, but yeah, they seem to be fielding offers, and yeah, he doesn't seem wanted at Besiktas at the moment, so yeah, that's pretty disappointing. Then Reggie Cannon is reported that he's actually being linked with Besiktas, so one guy in, one guy out. Another right back in Turkey following DeAndre Yedlin, but these aren't too solid yet. You'd expect different teams to come forward because Reggie Cannon is a solid player, but that link is there and the offer is probably on the table, so gotta look out for that for Reggie Cannon. And yeah, I'm really hoping that he gets a different move, I guess. You know, I feel like playing in Turkey would honestly be a bit of a sideways step in his career. Not really a step down, especially because Besiktas are in the championship or Champions League. But I don't know. I don't feel like it'd be the greatest move for him. Staying with right backs, Sergiño Dest. There are rumors linking him with Arsenal and Bayern. I don't buy this at all, but I just want to throw that out there. And then Bryan Reynolds. The Seattle Mariners are actually interested in trading for... Oh, wrong Bryan Reynolds. My bad. Next, we got what I call no news is news, because guys that we're really expecting to see transfer news on, but because there isn't, I feel like that has to be talked about. Antonee Robinson and Fulham, there's still no progress on his talk. The links with Man City and Wolves, they still there, but nothing has really moved on with that. And he may still be in Fulham by the end of the year, which, it's got to be disappointing going down from the Premier League to the Championship. I feel like he wasn't like excelling, but he was pretty solid for Fulham. Looking through guys or left backs in the Premier League, I mean, you'd probably rate him above like Patrick Van Aanholt and Tyreek Mitchell at Crystal Palace. And I know Ryan Bertrand just moved on from Southampton. Maybe that's an option. I feel like, the Wolves link, he might be able to outplay like an Nori. Man, it's a tough situation for Antonee Robinson, but I feel like he is a Premier League caliber player, so hopefully an offer comes in for him. And even AC Milan were linked with him in the past, but still nothing on him right now, and right now he's a Championship player. Next, on the no news front, Matt Miazga is still training with Chelsea, and I couldn't even find a rumor for his destination. And guys like Mark Gui and Tamori have moved on, who are both center backs for Chelsea, so he couldn't stay with them in the first team, could he? I mean, it could happen at this point. He's still training with them. They've lost center backs. They're playing with a 3 at the back, so especially if they're going to be looking to rotate the squad a lot, I don't think he'll be a starter. He obviously won't be a starter, but as a cup player, maybe he's on the bench a couple times. I don't know. It seems possible. I don't know. Then Cameron Carter-Vickers, again, still no news on that. Celtic, Newcastle, and Bournemouth are the teams really linked with him, and he's playing with the first team in Tottenham at the moment. And with him, Matt Miazga, and you can throw in an Erik Palmer-Brown into the mix. They're players who I feel like moving on would probably be the best decision for their career, but at the same time, like, they are at a really good team, an elite team at the moment, and if they do break through, if that chance does come, that's huge for their careers. If Cameron Carter-Vickers gets a run of, like a starting run in Tottenham, he's in the national team, which he hasn't been. Matt Miazga, he becomes a starter. If he's playing week in, week out at Chelsea, he becomes a starter. Erik Palmer-Brown, too, at Man City. So you have to understand all their perspectives with staying at those clubs. But at the same time, he's not going to break through. Like, unless a miracle happens, Matt Miazga is not going to start playing for Chelsea. Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't going to start playing for Tottenham. And he's probably the closest, but who's he behind of? Vertonghen, the Welsh dude they just signed, Eric Dyer. I mean, that's the situation for them, and you really don't expect any of them to play, but if they do, that's huge. But at the same time, center back's not a great position for the national team at the moment. I mean, John Brooks is set in stone, but knock on wood, but his injury history. Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards, they're both solid, but Mark McKenzie didn't have the greatest performance, and Chris Richards still hasn't really, I don't think he's played a competitive game for the national team, and he might not be playing at all at Bayern if he stays there, so you really want to have more guys that are playing consistently, even if that's Matt Miazga at Reading in the Championship or Cameron Carter-Vickers at Bournemouth in the Championship. I would definitely take that. But then, if Mark McKenzie does progress, which I think he will, if Chris Richards is able to, let's say, break through, let's say he goes out on loan to Hoffenheim, the only chance for Matt Miazga and Cameron Carter-Vickers, Erik Palmer-Brown, the only chance for them to really start is if they can break through at the clubs they're currently at. So, I don't know, it's a tough decision for them. Do they move on or do they stay? They're going to have to make that call. Next, for actual guys who played in competition, the only competitive game, Cade Cowell picked up an assist for San Jose. Man, he's continued to look good. Man, I think it's next summer we're really going to start hearing about him. Conrad de la Fuente, very good game for Marseille in the friendly. Owen Adebasai, he's playing for Wolves in friendlies. He has a decent chance of staying in the squad, I think. I'd probably like him to be loaned out, but if Wolves have faith in him, they've got faith in him. And Chris Richards, as I mentioned, he may get opportunities at Bayern. Right now, Alphonso Davies, he's injured. He's obviously not playing for Canada. Lucas Hernandez picked up a knock, and I mean, Chris Richards does have a chance. He was pretty bad in the friendly that I watched him play, but man, he's got a chance to play, and his future's really up in the air at Bayern Munich right now. Because he has a chance to stick around, he has a chance to get loaned out. We don't really know. Okay, that's about it for player performances and news. This is just stuff more about guys playing this year. There's going to be a bit of like me talking, like just my interpretation of things. Juventus or UVFC.com, they reported this piece of news that Weston McKennie's going to be playing a bit further forward for Juventus this season, probably a 10 and a 4-2-3-1, and that is an interesting decision. I do feel like that's good that they're thinking about Weston McKennie like that, but at the same time, I'm looking at this piece of news, and Allegri's been at Juventus, well, he was there for, 5 years or so? He really didn't play with a 10 at all. And the only time he did was with Dybala, and other news I found seems to be indicating that Dybala's the guy they're building around right now. So McKennie playing at a 10 would be a bad piece of news, I think. I'm not too sure how true it is. It might just be something that they try in preseason. This is going to have to be something we wait to see, like how it looks, but it's not a great thing at the moment. Next, Giovanni Reina got the number 7 shirt for Dortmund. That's not the news, but that is him stepping into Jadon Sancho's number, and hopefully he'll be able to step into Jadon Sancho's role now that he's moved on. He'll get a lot more playing time for Dortmund. I'm really looking forward to seeing Giovanni Reina hopefully I feel like he's already broken out, but just take that next step forward and be that guy who everybody wants at Dortmund, because that happens like every year. Next, there's actually Julian Green. Not any news on him, but he got promoted with Greuther Fürth, and they have not signed or loaned in any number 10s to compete with him. They have brought in a good amount of players. None of them have been in his position, so that is very good news for Julian Green, who may be able to start in the Bundesliga this year. If he's able to do that, a return to the national team is definitely possible. And the last piece of news I want to talk about is Caden Clark. He's back in training. And the only reason I bring this up is because the Gold Cup announced that injury replacements are a thing in this tournament, and the team could definitely use Caden Clark, so maybe he'll be called up to the national team. I'm really hoping to see him, because he would walk into the starting lineup at the moment. So, yeah, that's all I've talked about this week. A lot of good things. The U.S. women's team starts the Olympics tomorrow. I might look to cover that, see how interest is. I have been covering them a little bit. But, yeah, I'm really interested in that. Man, it's been a great week. That's all I've talked about. See ya.